Hello, and thanks for joining us today. I'm joined by my guest, Jonathan Steen of Vaboo. Jonathan, how are you doing?
I'm very good, David. How are you?
I'm very, very well today. We've had a little bit of a chat off camera about all sorts of things. But one of the things that we talked about is that the estate agency game over the years has changed from selling particular services sometimes in a hard sell campaign to potential clients. And instead, we've got a softer, gentler kind of approach where we're trying to nurture people along and we're trying to retain loyalty. And we can't do that without building trust. And you, my friend, you're in the business of trust. Tell us what it is and how you go about it.
I mean, I think, trust, building trust is something it's key to all businesses these days. And showing customers that you care is, I guess, the first step into building that trust. And, unfortunately for the industry, obviously agents up and down the country are essentially offering the same service. So it's our belief that if agents can maximize the value they're providing and build that level of trust, then they will differentiate themselves from the competition. And from our perspective as the rewards partner to the property sector, it's a rewards platform shows prospective customers, prospective clients, so whether you're talking about landlords, renters, and actually more and more of our clients are using our platform on the sales side of their business as well. When you show them that actually they're not just a transaction and that actually do have their kind of future wants and needs in consideration, then it really does set our clients apart from the competition in their areas.
It's what you've got and what you guys offer. Thinking about it, it's a completely unique offering. I mean, you say you're the rewards partner to the property industry. That's entirely true because there is nobody that does it certainly the way that you guys do. And I know a lot of agents have been successfully using your platform to engage a group of people that, to a large part, agents don't necessarily have the best of relationships with, and those are tenants. And you and I spoke about tenants being, yes, they're a tenant today, but they're the buyer of tomorrow, and then they are then going to be the sellers of tomorrow's tomorrow. So it's interesting. What sort of results are your agents seeing from nurturing that relationship with the tenants?
So absolutely, the majority of our users are tenants, but we are a customer engagement platform. So ultimately, our clients can put anybody they deem to be a customer on the platform. So that would include landlords as well. And as I say, more and more clients are starting to ask about our service from the sales side of their business. But in terms of the tenant customer base, it's massively untapped throughout the whole of the industry. So, a lot of clients say to us, okay, I get the building trust bit, I get showing the customers you care bit, but why? What difference is it actually going to make to our business? What's the ROI, if you like? So you can look at that in various different ways. In terms of the data side, that's kind of a huge spectrum of potential data that we can provide our clients. One of the things we've been focusing on since we've been selling to the industry is talking to our users about their future wants and needs, both as renters, landlords, but also as consumers. So for example, our users tell us when they might want to buy their first home, when they therefore might need a mortgage, for example. So the data that our clients are sitting on is data they've never really had before from the tenant pool of customers.
Yep.
So the ROI is huge there, but then it's about, okay, well, what goes into getting that level of data? Because anybody can ask a question, but at the end of the day, customer brand engagement is exceptionally time consuming.
And they're more likely to engage in that if there's something therefore in it for them, as it were, because they're engaging in a platform that is giving them on a constant basis rewards.
Exactly. Rewards, prize draws, and that's all growing and growing and growing. But also don't forget, this is all done under the guise of the agent as well. So that brand engagement in many respects is priceless. What price can you put on that? So those are fundamental reasons as to why somebody would use the platform. But I've just used mortgages or buying properties as one example, but it could be anything.
But it's a great untapped, like you say, it's an untapped resource. I mean, if somebody were to pour over the statistics and have a look at the number of tenants that at some point want to stop paying that rent because they want to then go on and get a mortgage, they've got to have that mortgage conversation with somebody. It's better off that they stay engaged with you as an agent. They're more likely to ask you whether or not you've got a mortgage advisor. You could get involved with proactively trying to sort of nurture them along as potential buyers. I think it's a superb data source to have.
Yeah, and I think also the other thing that we're proud of is when we communicate with our tenants, we get up to 50% engagement each time. So when we send our weekly comms, 50% of our users are opening those every week, and therefore when we're asking these important questions, we're getting a similar percentage actually respond to that answer. So if you're an agent with 400 tenants, you probably haven't got a clue what their next step might be today. But if our platform tells you that, based on the number of people that have answered the question, 100 of these people might be looking to buy a property in the next 6 to 12 months, how valuable could that be to your business?
Yeah, absolutely. I would imagine that data is gold, and you could turn that into gold pretty quickly. Just for people that don't know your product, what sort of rewards do tenants, landlords? You can use it with homeowners. We even talked about applications where you could give it to tradespeople that you deal with on a regular basis. Anybody that you're trying to build a long-term relationship with, engender trust, and just have a bit of goodwill there. What sort of rewards are on your platform for them to take advantage of?
To be honest, it's anything and everything. We have relationships with 600-700 plus retailers giving offers and discounts across the board. So supermarket shopping would be the most regular, but then most high street retailers on the platform, cinema chains, gyms. But then we get some people who just use the platform a handful of times a year, just when they're going to book a family holiday, for example. Every demographic is covered. Every category of spend is covered in terms of the offers and the discount side of things. And then on a monthly basis as well, where there's always giveaways and prize draws. The main prize draw for the last couple of years has been somebody's had their rent paid each month. And that's all going to be expanding next year as well. There's going to be 2 or 3 prize draws next year each month of significant value. And again, this is all done under the banner of our clients. So it's the agents who are putting their tenants into the prize draw, if you like. So if the tenant wins the prize draw, it's all about the agent's brand engagement. It's not about ourselves.
I totally get it. I think that in terms of removing the friction, it's not just about brand loyalty necessarily, but let's face it, the property game, whether from a tenant's point of view, a buyer, a seller, across the spectrum, both sales and lettings, it can be a very tense process. These relationships can become very fraught sometimes. And by having a program that you're constantly giving goodies to your client base, it will put a certain amount of goodwill into the relationship that I'm presuming makes communication with them more easy, and it takes that friction out of the process.
Yeah, I mean, if you'd be surprised if you look deep into kind of general business and brand engagement, what actually the things that businesses can do to massively improve the loyalty of a customer are actually quite small. In terms of what it takes is actually quite small. An example I've just thought of that happened to me yesterday. I went into Costa Coffee, and I haven't been paid to say this by Costa Coffee, but I went into Costa Coffee, and I had some. I get a 10% discount on Costa Coffee through Vaboo, plus I use their Costa Coffee app, and I'd accumulated some points as well. So I went in and ordered myself a drink, and I only ordered a small, and I used the points to pay for it because they told me I had enough points. But then the woman said to me, actually, shall I just make it a medium for you? Because it's not going to cost you anything extra.
Yep.
I just thought that was brilliant. Something really small and simple that has massively increased the chance of me going back or buying more at that time.
And you're right. And in our industry, there aren't those, we're not serving regular portions to people where we can just say, oh, here you go, here's a little bit more, and buy that trust necessarily. And agents are very hesitant to knock, with good reason, knock their fees down necessarily. Well, you don't need to. Instead, you can have this, and giving that to the client not only makes them feel like they are valued, but it keeps that constant engagement with that client. So if you haven't got a keep in touch policy with clientele that are long term, well, you now have, and you don't need to worry about their head being turned by another agent. So I think we need to sign up to this today.
I think what you're saying, David, is really, really important, because from my perspective, and throughout my career, I've dealt with agents from all sides of the spectrum, as a renter, as a landlord, as a buyer, as a seller. And I've dealt with many agents over 15 plus year period. And really what I see is the agents that I've paid the highest fees to have always given me the best service. But the market is getting more and more competitive, more and more saturated in many areas. So I believe agents still should be getting the fees that they deserve, but they've got to provide maximum value and build that trust in order for those fees not to even become into consideration.
For what it costs, it's a minimal investment in that relationship, really. It really is. Jonathan, I'd like to thank you very much for giving us your time and talking about this today.
Thank you, David, as well.